Welcome back, welcome back. Relations between North and South Korea are at their lowest ebb in decades after an international report revealed that North Korea was behind the recent torpedoing of a South Korean warship that left 43 South Korean soldiers dead. The two countries are technically still at war after the Korean conflict, which ended without an armistice in 1958. Full-blown fighting between North and South is currently thought to be unlikely, but possible, as tensions build and the US allies itself with Seoul and China with Pyongyang. What nuances there is something else, but we'll find out more about that. There's concern that border skirmishes could develop into a broader conflict. And I'm joined now from Seoul by the South Korean Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Mr. Chun Yung-woo. Mr. Chun, what's the situation right now? What is your next move, and what will North Korea do next?
Well, we try to take whatever is necessary to stop and deter North Korea's provocative and belligerent behavior. And we will most probably bring this matter to the UN Security Council sometime in the coming weeks.
Why are you not doing more urgently? Isn't the situation urgent for you to strike back in some way, whether diplomatically or militarily? You say in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, we are taking some unilateral measures and some bilateral measures as well. So what we are doing immediately is to stop all trade relationship with North Korea and to shut off cash flow into North Korea, to get them to face up to the consequences of their provocation.
How much does that mean? How much trade, how much of North Korea's trade is with South Korea?
We import between 200 million and 300 million US dollars of products from North Korea, mostly agriculture and fisheries products. So I think that much of trade will be reduced, and at least that much of cash flow will dry up.
And what is the danger, Mr. Chun, in the next few weeks? What is the danger of war between South Korea and North Korea?
North Korea is trying to deny their responsibility for the torpedoing of ROKS Cheonan, and they try to put the blame on us and trying to use harsh rhetoric, and that is escalating the situation. But I think we can manage the situation.
Mr. Chun, why do you think they did it? It was a provocation. It has had obviously a big impact around the world and so on. Why did they do it, and what did they think they would get out of doing it?
Well, this is a very difficult question because it's not easy to speculate on North Korea's motivation. No, North Korea is a black box. But if you allow me to make my own speculation, I think they wanted to retaliate on the previous naval skirmish that occurred in November last year. That's one thing, but without compromising the possibility of getting outside economic assistance, especially from us. So they wanted to do it surreptitiously, but they must have believed that they could bury the truth in the seabed forever. But they were caught now, and they will have to pay a price for their misbehavior.
What's the role of China in the next few weeks?
China has an important role to play. I know that they have enormous leverage with North Korea, but they have, at the current stage, no great enthusiasm to use their full leverage to bear upon North Korea. But we are consulting very closely with China on what kind of means and ways we should employ to change North Korea's behavior.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chun. That's very clear.
You're welcome, Sir David.
Well, that was, as you know, Chun Yung-woo, the South Korean Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade. Well, as tensions rise in the Korean Peninsula, the world is waiting to see what? It's waiting to see how China will respond. But the views of the emerging global superpower remain as mysterious as ever. But I'm joined now by a man who may be able to help us decode what's happening there in China. It's the journalist Richard McGregor, who spent 2 decades in North Asia, and he's with me now to talk also about his new book, The Secret World of China's Communist Rulers. Richard, welcome.
Hi.
What's going on at the moment in the secret world of their rulers? I mean, as they gaze at Korea, do they care what's going on in Korea? Do they care passionately about it?
Well, I mean, North Korea is communism that doesn't work. China is communism that works. And they just wish that North Korea would get with the program. I mean, China is quite an extraordinary story because, you know, we all remember the Berlin Wall collapsing and the like, 1989, the death of communism, the end of history. Well, history didn't end in China. The Communist Party kept going in China and have somehow successfully grafted a market economy on top of a Soviet system, and have just, they're onwards and upwards. North Korea is just, you know, off the map.
So is that, if you compare it with China with, say, Russia or Cuba or other communist systems, I mean, what is the big difference? Making that marriage between the two systems?
Absolutely, because the amazing thing about China, and everybody forgets this when they go there these days and sees the dazzling hotels and, you know, the wealth and the freeways and things like that, they forget that underground there is still a Communist Party which is basically, you know, run on Soviet hardware. You know, Lenin designed it, the Chinese perfected it, but they've been smart enough to realize that that wouldn't work. The country needed to, you know, compete, make money as well. But so they've let the economy go, not completely, but in a large way. They've let people get rich, but they haven't changed the political system.
And what's the situation in terms of who's really, does the president really run the place or not?
Yes and no. I think these days there's no Chinese leader like Mao or Deng Xiaoping. They were the era of strongman rule is gone. So the guy who runs it these days, Hu Jintao, is a little bit of a faceless functionary, more first amongst equals in the Politburo than the guy who runs everything. It's a consensus system because China is too complicated for a dictator anymore.
So it's a consensus system there?
Yes, consensus within the party.
You need a person as much of a giant as Mao Zedong or something for an individual to take over the system again, or could it never?
I don't think that could ever happen because people's lives are vastly different. Mao was a tyrant. Many millions of people died under his rule. People wouldn't stand for that anymore, and they certainly wouldn't stand for the economic reforms being pared back. I mean, the Communist Party, you know, as my book goes into great detail, basically has been saved by the capitalist economy.
And what about comparing it with the communist systems around the world? I suppose the marriage point we mentioned is one of the key differences. The other is the ongoing power of the party, I suppose.
That's right. I mean, the party, we think in the West of Western economies, there's a great old expression of Keynes about people's animal spirits, you know, capitalism to make money. Well, the parties has its own animal spirits. It's the state that is rich in China, the state that makes money, the state that is in business. There's other communist countries around the world, North Korea, Cuba, Vietnam. I think only Vietnam is comparable to China. They've done it as well.
And is it possible that this creature, Chinese communism, could in fact somehow be exported around the world? Would the Chinese like to export it around the world, or have they lost any imperial dreams they have had before?
I don't think they want to export it. I think they want influence around the world so they can get what they want. They want influence in Africa so they can get oil and minerals. They want influence in Southeast Asia so they can manage the sea lanes around there and have a stable environment. They're not like America. They have no missionary instinct. They don't want to export communism or even the Chinese system, but boy, do they want influence, and they're willing to spend a lot of money to get that.
And will the system that we see there now and that you've written about. Will that last, as some Chinese might hope, forever? Would it last for 50 years or less?
I reckon they've got another good 5-10 years in them. When the economy slows down, as all economies do eventually, they've got a lot of growth left in them, we'll see. As long as the economy grows, they're fine. When the economy stops, when the music stops, that's when the system will get a good hard look.
Bless you. Thank you very much for all of that.
Thanks very much.
Good luck with the book too. After the break, the US general who came up with the idea for the Iraq surge turns his attention now particularly to Afghanistan.